have a high-speed lane change. And if we do, it's directed in this area because we don't have a curb here.
Okay.
Everything else is surrounded by a curb. But our students learn serpentine here. They learn controlled braking. They learn evasive maneuvering. Off-road recovery we have. I'll show you that. Here's kind of our evasive lane where we teach this guy to level off his speed and just change lanes rapidly without upsetting the balance of the car. Of course, this is an SUV configuration, so you would think it's going to tip over. With all actuality, it's not going to.
Yeah, and it's a little bit, you know, just for the confidence of the students as well. So
right, exactly. And then all of our stuff is done starts out with a demonstration from the instructor, so they have that confidence and they know what the capability of the car is too. So here's our off-road recovery lane. We teach them, you know, not to panic, to stabilize the car, to bring it back the way it's supposed to come back without losing control.
And this is one of the things, one of the problems that we've been facing. I mean, our police officers are not confident with the kind of vehicle that they've been using.
Yeah.
So I mean, for them, it's becoming more and more difficult to say, well, I'm confident, it's okay to use such a kind of police vehicle. So it's slowing down even the time for, you know, going to a specific activity or call or stuff like that. So they say, well, once I can't trust the vehicle, I'll do my best, but you know.
Right, and then we try to match them with their capability and the capability of the car. A lot of times the car is a lot more capable than the actual driver is, but we try to balance that so they have the confidence in the vehicle and they know they have the confidence in themselves to do different things. Here is 3 acres. It's a skid pad. Of course, you see the surface is different here. We got agricultural irrigation that we pump onto the surface, and I'll show you the cars. They're specially equipped for this. So we can take about a 30 mile per hour skid here and create about a 60 mile per hour skid occurrence. Of course, what we want to teach them is not to get into a skid in the first place, but if they do, this is the place to do it. So this is pretty similar to an icy road when we get the water on it. It's very slippery out here. Great training. We're very, very fortunate to have this here. Of course, ultimately, we'd like to have a lot more runoff room, but we're real lucky when it comes to this out here. And the car will spin a little bit out here, so it's like it'll understeer. We can do understeer demonstrations out here. So I can hear the tires slip there a little bit. So we spend, our recruits, we spend 4 hours of skid pad with them. Because in Michigan we got terrible conditions 3 months out of the year typically.
There's snow and everything,
extend to 4 or 5. So the skid cars, of course, they're specially marked that they only be used here. And if you look at the second one in here, the rear tires are smooth.
Different tires in the rear.
Traction on them.
Open it a little bit so that
the instructor has control of that rear brake, and he can lock that brake up and send that car to a skid when he's out there, and the student has to get out of it.
So we had to have some adaptation in some of the things. So then,
and we adapted those cars, and I keep the schematics and how we do it. And what we're doing now is we used to use some sophisticated stuff, and now we're with the electronics the way it is. That car without the light on the roof has an electronic reducer. The other ones we got a little bit cheaper, and we just use a master cylinder that you use for a trailer, a tow trailer, and we segregate the brake system and hook it to a push button for the instructor.
Just to make the thing more fun.
And we just use turn-in cars for that. We got about $1,000 invested in that, where the skid technology cars are very expensive. Of course, our pad is too, but...
I see, and all the investment was done by the police department itself, or...
It's mainly the car investments is all part of our fleet budget. So those cars, they still have a mileage fee, but they don't have that monthly lease fee. Out on the outside here, kind of what our guys or my crew's known for is the work they do in the high performance mode, emergency and pursuit. So we bring them out here. We teach them vehicle dynamics class. We have a performance driving class. They've had their braking. They've passed all the skid pad and all the coned exercises. And then we start introducing them to this. So we'll start out with talking about lines of travel, how braking affects the car, how weight transfer affects the car, right from throttle, how vehicle maintenance, tire pressure, tire tread depth, everything affects to how the car handles. And then we start talking about lines of travel, where to look through the turn, where to brake, where to accelerate, how the car handles under different accelerator actions or no action. So, and then we get them out here and we just start them out real slow and we start working them up. And then we teach, stay within 80% of what your capability is. And like I said, a lot of times people don't know what the full capability of the car is and how it handles. But I mean, and then we'll again do a nice demonstration for them and show them that the car is very stable as long as you know where to steer, where to look, how the car handles. And then of course you have the confidence in the car.
Once again, we come back to the confidence, you know what I mean?
Right. And then, of course, you know, it's repetitive. Our instructors stay in the car with the student all the time. And so they don't make,
but they start
making small mistakes. We start correcting them so they're not an issue.
Yeah. And that's where confidence stuff starts.
Try this.
You know, and the idea
so,
is.
And again, yeah, you don't want to do this in a civilian version Explorer, because you're going to have braking issues, you're going to have handling issues. It's going to be top heavy.
And that's why we start believing that we have a good vehicle. We start believing that we have something that we can rely on, but it's not the truth. So those were the problems that we started facing. And try to imagine a police officer, that we just, it's hard to say that, but it's some kind of false positive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We just tell them, okay, trust the vehicle, we spent a lot of money on that, but, what is the quality of the equipment that the police department is issuing me? Know what I mean?
I bet you can do this track blindfolded.
Yeah, I've been around here a few times.
Just a few. 12 years, just a few.
About 50,000 miles or so, and I haven't went anywhere.
It sounds like a riddle, right? Like, what can travel 50,000 miles without going
anywhere?
Without going anywhere.
So we have the same test with all the vehicles, all of them that come here, just like an SUV, and also that.
You want to spin in a Charger? Want to see the difference?
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
If you still have time, do you?
Oh, absolutely.
You can. You have all the time in the world.
Ok, acabamos uma, agora vamos para a Dodge Charger.
When we're doing cone work with 3 students in a car, I mean, we don't make the guys sit in the back seat, but we cycle 3. So if we have a 2-hour block, there's 3 students. The road course is 1-to-1. When we're out here in the road course, it's 1-on-1. I mean, they get breaks, but pretty much the road course time is spent with their times behind the wheel. So we rotate that, but it's pretty punishing on our instructors on the road course. But we just think it's the best training for them. If you sit in a tower and instruct, you don't know if they're left foot braking, if they're jerking the steering wheel, or what they're doing. So we like to be right in the car with them.
No, it's fantastic. That's we would have instructors like who would have they would do the demo holding a coffee and show that they could do it without.
You know what we used to do is training cars would duct tape a ball onto the hood and put a basketball in it, and then went through the exercise, and you had to be real smooth to keep the basketball in the bowl. And if the basketball went out, then
Back.
yeah, and we do that with competition between instructors, you know, to see who was the smoothest. You lose the basketball, you lost the day.
So this one is also full equipped.
Yeah, this
This
is not typical of a road car. Now, a car that the troopers have out in the field will have in-car camera. These mounts are for speed measurement equipment, and this is something I added a few years ago. Is we'd buy them a $2,500 radar speed measurement tool, and they were Velcro on it or bungee cording it to the dash, and so I wrote a specification for those mounts.
This is pretty good, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's a nice touch there. And then some of the things this is our lap timing, and then back here is we have communication between our training helmets, because on the road course, when you're out on the road course, these cars it gets loud and the student can't hear you. And we have noise canceling helmets with the communication in them.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was a little tough to get the boss to say okay to that stuff.
No, what we're talking about.
So this is a rear-wheel drive Charger. It has the 5.7 liter, 365 horsepower engine in it. It's very quick. It's a little bit quicker than the Explorer. Of course, it's lower to the ground, so it's got a little bit better handling, but not by much. You'd be surprised. So this car very capable, stability control, traction control.
The thing about the stability and the traction control, it's paramount. It's pretty good. And that's exactly what you need once you are dealing with pursuing stuff.
Yeah, there's not too many people that come here and get a ride and go, yeah, we're going to run from you guys. The car's a little bit quicker than the Explorer, not by much. The Explorer's got some, room issues or not issues, but advantages over the Charger. It's got the all-wheel drive over this car. It's got a little bit better ground clearance.
Look at the difference of the braking system. It's amazing.
I gotta say, this is more pleasant, like in the back than the Explorer.
Yeah.
Like it's just a little.
You feel a little bit more stable in this car than.
If a student would like to be considered instructor, what would be the time?
When do we train instructors? Well, my guy's a handpick. They got to have the recommendations from the current staff. They got to have recommendations from their work site commander. We do an oral interview with them, a background check, even though they're troopers, and then we do scenarios where we'll put them in the car and go, okay, just drive around the track. Just give me a basic instruction on how I was going to drive around the track. Like, what do you mean? I go, okay, just drive around the track, put it in drive, stay to the left or right of the center line, to the left of the fog line, and just some general stuff, so we know that they can communicate with the person behind the wheel. And then any of my current staff says they're a bad personality mix, or they're not going to blend in, or they have some other issue, they're out.
uses slang or stuff
And
like
then
that.
and then my guys, if I've had guys, I had 2 I dismissed last year. They're still troopers, but I just can't have a representative here that I have to worry about in the car, because I got guys from all over the world coming here to get training, and for somebody to leave here and have a bad experience, I'm just not going to let that happen.
Yeah, and it's the name of the state police, actually.
Exactly. I mean, it's not the individual.
Yeah.
They're going to look
Right.
at. They're going to look at. Oh yeah, I got a bad experience from them, and I don't like it.
100% right. E essa foi a experiência. Vamos lá. It's a totally different experience, I'm telling you.
The instructors generally kind of like low stress with the students. You know what I mean?
You know, it depends on their particular area or expertise, like the physical training.
No, but I mean for something
Here,
like this.
yeah, and that's what I was going to get to. Physical training, no, the classroom stuff, they're real strict. When it comes to firearms and driving, the divided attention things, yeah, it's hands off.
Kind of more the
It's,
fatherly
hey,
approach
you,
to it.
You know, not, hey, Recruit Smith, how are you doing today? It's, hey, Bill, today we're going to work on performance driving, you know.
Totally
and that-
understandable.
The big mistakes the recruits make, and I'll take you a walk through the building
Yeah.
if you'd like. The big mistake the recruits make is they get relaxed out here, and they go back in there, and they remain that relaxed atmosphere, and they get themselves in trouble. It happens every time, you know. So, yeah, let me grab my pass key. We'll walk over. I'll give you a walk
Okay.
through the place.
It was when I came out here for a tour of the academy. It's fantastic. You know, like I almost had a flashback. I was in the Marines, and like when I saw him press all the crew, like we're walking down the hall, they press